Good evening and welcome. You're with the News First, your number one news provider. I'm Shamir Vasudi.
A very good evening. I'm Mahina Bongzo. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight.
Water levels low at reservoirs. Government requests the public to use electricity carefully. Public can lodge complaints regarding inferior petrol with the Human Rights Commission. State of emergency extended by another month. Government says it is ready to pay any amount of money to secure the release of Rizana Nafi.
The Ministry of Power and Energy states that even if the water levels of reservoirs continue to decrease, no decision has been reached to enforce power cuts. However, Power and Energy Minister Patali Champika Ranawaka has said that since the water level of the Kasore reservoir has dropped to 9% of its capacity, supplying electricity at night has become problematic.
Hydropower generation has been affected by the dry weather conditions affecting most parts of the country. The Ceylon Electricity Board confirmed to News First that water levels at most reservoirs used for power generation are down to 25%. Minister Ranawaka noted that hydropower cannot be generated if the water levels drop to the 15% level. Water levels at the Victoria, Lakshapana, Mount Sakale and Castle Reach reservoirs are at 1/4 their capacity at present. News First cameras visited these reservoirs to take a first-hand look. In addition to hydropower, 1,500 megawatts of power are generated through thermal power plants. The minister went on to state that there are technical problems at the thermal power plants as well. Minor problems are affecting the power supply these days. One is the reduced level of water. If we take our capacity into consideration, we have around 1,500 megawatts in our thermal power plants. Around half of it became dysfunctional due to various technical problems. Since fuel is being used to generate electricity, he urged the public to use electricity sparingly. Since fuel is being used to generate electricity, we urge everyone to be careful, especially at night between 6:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. A high cost is incurred during this period, so the supply will have to be controlled. We are trying our best to ensure that the electricity supply is not curbed. Meanwhile, the Minister of Disaster Management, Mahinda Amarveera, also commented on this problem at a function held yesterday. If this situation continues and a drought starts, not a single ministry will make profits. Every ministry will suffer losses. Every ministry will have to intervene in this problem. It's not only our ministry. We have received reports of the Electricity Board incurring losses. It only just happened to our ministry. Now there is talk of power cuts.
The Human Rights Commission has requested the public to lodge complaints regarding the grievances they face as a result of using inferior petrol. Its Secretary Attorney at Law Nimal Pinchaheva said that investigations could be launched into the violation of fundamental rights by a state institution.
According to the Secretary to the Human Rights Commission, Nimal Punchaheva, complaints could be lodged with the Human Rights Commission at number 108 Barnes Place, Colombo 7 or by fax number 0112694924.
The exercise is any petition complaint to the Commission about it is violation of fundamental rights. So then that the relevant authorities is not doing proper way or not follow proper procedure and proper circulars. So then we can investigate that there are some violation of the fundamental rights. But up to now we didn't receive any complaint of that petition.
Now, the United National Party states that tests have confirmed that the stock of petrol, which is at the centre of a controversy, does not conform to the required standards. The party's General Secretary, Tissata Nayaka, also reiterated that the subject minister made a statement that he would resign from his post if the controversial stock of petrol was found to be of poor quality.
ජූනි මාසේ 24 වෙනිදා ලංකා කන්තේල් නීතිගත සංස්ථාවේ
The report of the tests that were obtained to check whether the petrol that was imported by the Deputy Director of the Technical Unit of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation on the 24th of June is actually 90 octane is out. It confirms that the petrol issued by the corporation does not conform with the required standard of 90 octane. What we ask is, what will the government do now? This technical report cannot be challenged. The fault of the corporation has been confirmed. We would like to ask, will the minister, as a person who is in charge of the corporation, accept this fault and resign from his post?
You're with the news first. Up next is a look at Action TV.
Action TV yesterday revealed the manner in which the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, which was entrusted with the responsibility of importing a stock of petrol on the 10th or 11th of June, has made a mess of it. 2 tenders were also cancelled during this process. On the 1st of June, the Secretary to the Ministry of Petroleum Industries took the responsibility of importing 20,000 metric tons of 92-octane petrol by the 10th or 11th of June without calling for tenders. The Standard Cabinet-appointed Procurement Committee, which takes decisions pertaining to the purchasing of crude oil, granted approval to the Ministerial Secretary for this, since the country's stock of crude oil was decreasing fast and the country was on the verge of facing a fuel shortage. This situation was created on purpose. In a backdrop where even the world's leading oil companies take at least a month to allocate crude oil transport vessels to transport oil to small markets such as Sri Lanka, the Ministerial Secretary takes on this responsibility on the 1st of June to meet the target within 10 days. The company that came forward to supply this 20,000 metric tons of petrol on the invitation of the Secretary forwarded this offer letter, which contained the conditions pertaining to this deal, to the Secretary on the 2nd of June. The Ministerial Secretary, who assures the Standard Cabinet-appointed Procurement Committee that 20,000 metric tons of petrol will be imported to the country on the 10th or 11th of June, then selects a company that puts forward a condition that it can only ship the stock of petrol in question from Jebel Ali port in Dubai on the 8th or the 10th of June and not before for this purpose. It takes about 7 to 9 days for a ship to reach the Colombo port from the Jebel Ali port in Dubai. Yet another condition imposed by this company is that the CPC must provide a vessel to transport the said stock of petrol from the Jebel Ali port in Dubai to the Colombo port. The stock of petrol, which was purchased on these conditions, reached the Colombo port on the 16th of June. Considering the situation which arose in the country following the distribution of this stock of petrol from the 17th of June, the subject minister instructed the CPC not to pay the company that supplied the petrol. The minister issued this order in a backdrop where the Secretary to the Ministry, who was also the acting chairman of the CPC during this procedure, had agreed to the conditions imposed by the said supplier while neglecting the specifications followed by the CPC for over 3 decades. When the situation is such, is the minister inviting yet another legal wrangle which demands the spending of public money?
Taking a look at parliamentary proceedings today, the stock of 20,000 metric tons of petrol, which has been the subject of much controversy, was taken up for debate in Parliament today. The debate arose following questions raised by DNA parliamentarian Anura Kumar Dissanayake in this regard from the government.
What was the purchasing system that was adhered to when the 20,000 metric tons of petrol was purchased? What steps will be taken for the vehicles and petrol pumps that were damaged? Has a proper investigation been carried out? And if so, what were the results? Have the wrongdoers been identified? We took several steps in this regard. Accordingly, we will look into the specification of the 20,000 metric tons of petrol that was unloaded here in Sri Lanka, whether or not it conformed to the specifications for Sri Lankan vehicles and whether or not these specifications were taken into account when releasing the fuel to the market. We will also look into whether the normal tender procedure was adhered to and look into the state and private property that were damaged in the form of an estimation. We have informed the CPC chairman to take the necessary steps regarding this. At this meeting, we also decided to hold the payments for the stock of petrol until the investigations are over. We have also decided to launch a probe under the supervision of a secretary of an independent ministry and with the participation of the former deputy refinery manager and several marketing personnel to look into this and file a report in this regard. It is better if the secretary to the ministry is appointed as the head of the committee. We have appointed an experienced secretary of another ministry. Please provide me with the details you have as well. The trade union affiliated to the CPC also provided me with facts. I can take into account all of these details and get a concrete answer.
Taking a look now at one of our headline stories this evening. Minister of Foreign Employment, Promotion and Welfare, Dilan Pereira, said in Parliament today that the government is ready to pay any amount of money to secure the release of Rizana Nafiq, who is facing the death sentence in Saudi Arabia.
Is it true when you said about stopping the punishment being meted out following the intervention made by the president, or is she really going to be punished? What steps have the government taken to safeguard her? We were able to stop the implementation of the punishment. According to the law there, even the king cannot pardon her. It has to come from the affected family itself. Subsequent to blood money is asked for. After it is paid, only the victim will be pardoned. The government is ready to pay any amount as blood money.
Also in Parliament today, United National Party parliamentarian Ravi Karnanayake directed the attention of the Speaker to the delay in receiving answers to questions directed to the Ministry of Finance and Planning.
Ravi Karnanayake Mahata.
Based on the reply I received for the 7th question, I hope I will receive a prompt reply for this question. I request for a time period of a month to reply this question, as the question is 3 times complex than the other questions. Is this a lapse on the part of the Ministry of Finance? We will have to request the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance to respond to these issues fast or dispatch a responsible representative here. Mr. Speaker, the question relates to the conduct of 33 institutes. Such a question was posed for the first time.